What if one of the simplest things you can change in your diet after 50 is not what you stop eating, but what you start choosing more carefully? If you have fatty liver, you may have already been told to lose weight, cut down on sugar, exercise more, and avoid processed foods. And yes, those things can matter. But there's another question people often ask. Can I still eat fruit? The answer is yes. In fact, whole fruit can be part of a healthy eating pattern for many people with fatty liver. But the type of fruit, the portion, and especially how you eat it, can make a difference. And before we get into these 7 fruits, let me make one thing very clear. No fruit can magically remove fat from your liver, and no food can detox your liver overnight. Your liver already has its own detoxification systems. What you can do is give your body better nutritional support while reducing the habits that may contribute to metabolic problems and excess liver fat. That is where these fruits become interesting. The first thing to understand is that whole fruit is very different from fruit juice. When you eat a whole fruit, you get fiber along with its naturally occurring sugars. When you turn several fruits into juice, it becomes much easier to consume a large amount of sugar and calories quickly without the same chewing and fiber structure. So if fatty liver is your concern, reach for the whole fruit rather than the juice. Let's start with number 7, apples. Apples are one of the easiest fruits to include in your daily diet. They provide fiber and a variety of plant compounds, and their natural sweetness can help satisfy a craving without reaching for biscuits, sweets, or heavily processed desserts. If you enjoy apples, eating the whole fruit is generally a smarter choice than drinking apple juice. Wash it well, and if you tolerate the skin, keeping the skin on can help you get more fiber. Number 6 is the pear. Pears are another excellent whole fruit option because they provide fiber and have a naturally sweet flavor. And there is a simple reason this matters after 50. As we get older, many people become less physically active, while their calorie needs may decrease. That makes highly processed snacks and sugary foods easier to overconsume. A whole pear can give you sweetness and fiber in a much more satisfying package. But here is where many people make a mistake. They hear that fruit is healthy and assume that more is always better. It isn't. If you are trying to improve your metabolic health, you still want reasonable portions and an overall balanced diet. Think of fruit as part of your diet, not as a treatment for fatty liver. Now, number 5 is kiwi. Kiwi is small, but nutritionally it packs a lot into a relatively modest portion. It provides fiber and vitamin C, along with naturally occurring plant compounds. Its combination of sweetness and slight tartness can also make it a useful alternative when you want something sweet after a meal. Try it whole, rather than blending it into a large sweetened drink. And now we get to the fruits that make this list much more interesting, because the next 4 choices bring different types of fiber, antioxidants, healthy fats, and plant compounds into the picture. And one of them is particularly interesting because unlike almost every other fruit on this list, it is naturally rich in healthy, unsaturated fat. That fruit is coming later. But before we get there, there is another colorful fruit you should know about, one that has attracted considerable attention because of its powerful plant compounds. And that is where we'll continue in part 2. So remember the key message from this first half. Don't fear whole fruit simply because you have fatty liver. Focus on the quality of your overall diet. Choose whole fruit instead of juice. Keep portions sensible, and use fruit to replace less nutritious foods rather than simply adding more calories to your day. And if you want to know which fruit comes in at number 1, stay with me for part 2, because the final choices may change the way you think about fruit and liver health after 50. And now we come to the 4 fruits that make this list especially interesting, because these aren't just fruits you eat because someone calls them healthy. Each one brings something different to the table, and when you understand why, the entire list starts to make much more sense. Let's begin with number 4, blueberries. There's a reason blueberries appear again and again when people talk about nutrient-dense foods. Their deep blue color comes from natural plant compounds called anthocyanins. These compounds are part of what makes berries so interesting from a nutritional perspective. Blueberries also provide fiber and are naturally sweet, which makes them a much smarter choice when you're trying to satisfy a sweet craving without reaching for biscuits, cakes, or sugary desserts. And here's the important part. You don't need a huge bowl. A modest serving is enough to become part of a balanced meal. Add them to plain yogurt, have them with breakfast, or simply eat them as they are. Fresh or frozen can both work, as long as you avoid products loaded with added sugar. Now, number 3 may surprise you, pomegranate. Those bright red seeds contain a variety of naturally occurring polyphenols, which are plant compounds that have attracted a lot of scientific interest. But don't make the mistake of thinking that pomegranate juice is automatically better. In fact, this is exactly where people can go wrong. You can take a perfectly healthy fruit and turn it into a much easier way to consume a large amount of sugar by removing much of the food's original structure and drinking it quickly. So if you're choosing pomegranate, think about the whole fruit. Eat the arils, take your time, let the fruit remain food rather than turning it into a sugary drink. And now we reach number 2, avocado. This one seems almost out of place, doesn't it? Most fruits are known for carbohydrates and natural sweetness. Avocado is completely different. It contains mostly unsaturated fat and also provides fiber. And this is a powerful reminder that having fatty liver does not mean you need to fear every gram of dietary fat. The bigger question is, what kind of fat and what food is it coming from? Replacing some foods high in saturated fat and heavily processed ingredients with foods containing unsaturated fats can fit into a heart-healthy, balanced eating pattern. A reasonable portion of avocado on whole grain toast with eggs or alongside a vegetable-rich meal can be a simple way to include it. But now we arrive at number 1, and this is where I want you to pay attention: raspberries. They may look small, but raspberries are remarkably rich in fiber for a fruit, and that matters because fiber can help you feel satisfied and can support a diet that relies less on highly processed foods. Think about the difference. A sweet pastry may give you a quick burst of sweetness and leave you wanting more. A serving of whole raspberries gives you sweetness along with fiber and a variety of naturally occurring plant compounds. That doesn't mean raspberries cure fatty liver. No single fruit does. And that's actually the most important lesson from this entire video. If you have fatty liver, don't waste your time searching for one magical food that will repair everything overnight. Your liver doesn't need a miracle. It needs a better environment to work in. That means making your everyday diet more nutrient-dense, choosing whole foods more often, cutting back on sugary drinks and highly processed foods, staying physically active, and if you're carrying excess weight, working towards gradual, sustainable weight loss when appropriate. And there's one more thing I want you to remember. You don't have to eat all 7 fruits every single day. You can rotate them. Maybe an apple one day, kiwi the next, berries with yogurt another day, a little avocado with a meal. Variety is far more realistic than trying to follow a complicated liver detox routine. And if you have diabetes, take medication, or have been diagnosed with significant liver disease, your ideal diet may need to be personalized by your healthcare professional. So let's bring everything together. The 7 fruits are apples, pears, kiwi, blueberries, pomegranate, avocado, and raspberries. But don't focus only on the list. Focus on the habit behind the list. Choose whole fruit instead of juice. Choose fiber-rich foods instead of highly processed snacks. Choose consistency instead of quick fixes. Because after 50, protecting your health isn't about finding one perfect food. It's about making small, intelligent choices often enough that they become part of your lifestyle. And that is the kind of change your liver can benefit from, not tomorrow, not for 7 days, but over the months and years ahead.